What if I told you there's one silent habit that destroys your self-confidence every single day, and you don't even notice it? It hides behind your camera being off, your voice staying quiet, and your maybe next time excuse. But here's the twist. The exact thing you've been avoiding might be the very thing that sets you free. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why and how to flip the script forever. Chapter 1. The Two Captains. It was summer in Seattle, and the Johnson family was boarding a small sightseeing boat near Lake Union. Parents, two kids, some snacks in a tote bag, sunscreen already forgotten. They were all excited about the ride, until the captain stepped out of the cabin. He was young, maybe late 20s, with a cap slightly tilted. He cleared his throat, shifted awkwardly, and said, "Hey, I'm Kyle. I guess I'll be your captain today, if that's okay. We'll try to stay afloat." His eyes darted sideways. He chuckled nervously. Silence followed. Instantly, everyone tensed. A kid tightened his grip on the rail. Mrs. Johnson looked at her husband, and although no storm clouds were in sight, a cloud of doubt hovered. No one said it out loud, but the question echoed in every mind. Can we trust this guy? Now imagine the same moment, different captain. He steps forward, steady, calm. "Hi, my name's Kyle Walker, and I'll be your captain today. The weather looks great, and we're set for a smooth ride. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Welcome aboard." Same guy, same boat, same sunny day, but everything feels different. Why? Because how you show up changes how people feel, even if nothing else changes. That's the magic of presence. You don't need to feel confident to sound confident. You don't need to have all the answers to bring peace of mind. But you do need to make choices, conscious, physical, vocal choices, that invite trust. Think about it. People can't read your thoughts. They can't see the butterflies in your stomach or hear the storm in your mind. What they see is how you move, how you speak, how you hold space. And from that, they decide whether to lean in or lean away. Back on the boat, Kyle's second version wasn't just faking confidence. He was choosing to shape the moment. His voice was clear, his stance open. He made eye contact. He gave his passengers what they really wanted. Not a flawless performance, but someone who looked like they could steer the ship. That's what happens every time you speak in public, enter a room, lead a meeting, or even post online. You're the captain, and the people around you, they're looking for signs. Is this a safe ride? When you hesitate, they hesitate. When you settle in, they breathe out. That's how leadership begins, not with authority, but with presence. So, what does this mean for you? It means you don't have to wait until you feel ready. You can begin now. You can lift your shoulders, steady your breath, and say, "Let's begin," just like Kyle did the second time. Because confidence, at its core, isn't about ego. It's about offering comfort. From this point on, you're the captain of the space you walk into. And the good news? You don't need a license, just intention. Like that? Then hit like and subscribe. Let's build your confidence together. Chapter 2. The Volume of Trust. 14-year-old Maya stood behind the microphone at her school's annual talent show in Austin, Texas. She wasn't singing or dancing, just reading a poem she wrote, a simple task. But as soon as the spotlight hit, her voice barely made it past the front row. "This is a poem about dreams," she whispered. People leaned in, squinting, tilting their heads. The words were beautiful, but they were swallowed by silence. A few students looked at their phones. A teacher tried to clap supportively, but the energy had already dipped. What went wrong? Maya hadn't done anything wrong. She was just too quiet. Volume is one of the most misunderstood tools of confidence. People think being loud equals being bold, and being soft means being shy. But that's not true. The real question isn't how loud you are. It's why you're speaking and who you want to reach. Now imagine if Maya had walked up and said, clearly, "This is a poem about dreams, yours, mine, and the ones we hide from." Same words, different energy. And suddenly the room listens. The truth is, your voice carries a message even before the words come out. It says, "I'm here," or "I don't want to be seen." It says, "I believe in what I'm saying," or "I'm unsure, please look away." People hear your tone before they hear your story. You don't need to shout. No one's asking you to become a motivational speaker overnight. What works best is finding your level 5. On a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 is a whisper and 10 is yelling in a stadium, 5 is the sweet spot. It's clear, warm, steady. It says, I know this matters. And that's enough. When you speak at a 5, people feel safe. They don't have to work to understand you. They don't feel awkward or anxious for you. And most importantly, they hear your message the way it deserves to be heard. You can practice this. Read your texts out loud. Order coffee like it's a TED Talk. Leave a voice memo for a friend and aim for calm and clear. Not robotic, not theatrical. Just real, just present. Maya, by the way, learned this the next year. She practiced in her room. She watched videos of confident speakers. She set a reminder on her phone, speak at 5. And when she returned to the talent show, her voice, steady and strong, filled the gym like sunlight through an open window. People clapped before she finished. Because when you raise your voice, not with force, but with purpose, you raise your presence, and the room responds. You don't need to speak louder to be heard. You just need to speak like you believe you deserve to be. Chapter 3. The Power of a Pause. In a busy courtroom in Chicago, a young public defender named Jordan stood to speak. His client's future depended on his voice, and yet, he rushed every sentence like he was chasing a train that wouldn't wait. Your Honor, we ask for leniency based on section. The judge raised a hand. Counselor, breathe. That one word, breathe, was a turning point. Jordan stopped. He took a breath. The room tense just moments before softened. And when he started again, slower, steadier, everything changed. Why? Because silence, when used well, speaks louder than noise. Most people fear the pause. We think it makes us look unsure or awkward. But in reality, a pause shows power. It says, I'm not afraid of the silence. I'm in control of it. When you rush your words, it tells your audience you're nervous, even if your ideas are brilliant. It floods the room with static. And worst of all, you lose their attention. Not because they don't care, but because they can't keep up. But when you pause, people lean in. They follow. They wait. It's like punctuation in a conversation. It creates rhythm, clarity, and gravity. Think of your favorite speakers. They don't ramble. They land. They take moments to let their words breathe. They give their audience space to process, to feel, to respond, even in silence. And this works far beyond stages. It works in classrooms, in interviews, in casual conversations. When you pause before making your point, you're telling the listener, this matters. Listen closely. You don't have to make dramatic theater out of it. Just 3 simple places to pause. Before you start speaking, take one breath. After you finish a sentence, let it land. Before a big idea, build suspense. It's like music. Without pauses, it's just noise. But with them, it becomes a melody. Jordan, the young attorney, began to train this, not just in court, but everywhere. He paused before greeting someone. He paused before answering questions. He learned to slow down, not because he didn't know what to say, but because he finally understood the weight of what he was saying. Years later, he became a law professor, and on the first day of class, he stood in front of a room full of nervous students. He looked up, smiled, and said nothing for 3 full seconds. Then, welcome, you belong here. That pause, it was louder than anything he said that day. So remember this, confidence isn't always in your voice. Sometimes, it's in your silence. Use it well. What's one moment when you wished you had spoken louder or more confidently? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. Chapter 4. Confidence has a shape. In a sunny coffee shop in Portland, Oregon, Maya waited nervously for a job interview. She'd rehearsed her answers, researched the company, and even brought a copy of her resume printed on fancy paper. But as soon as the hiring manager walked in, Maya shrank into her seat, shoulders curled, hands in her lap, eyes down. Before she said a word, she had already sent a message. I'm unsure. The truth is, our bodies speak long before we open our mouths. And when it comes to confidence, posture isn't a detail, it's the headline. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine a superhero. Not in a costume, but just the way they stand, upright, shoulders back, chin up, eyes forward. That posture says, I'm ready, even if inside they're feeling butterflies. This is called embodied confidence. Your body tells your brain how to feel. If you curl inward, your brain reads threat and triggers stress. But if you expand, open up, and hold space, your brain says, we've got this. It's not magic, it's biology. In fact, studies from Harvard have shown that even holding a power pose for 2 minutes, like standing tall with arms on your hips, can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase testosterone, the confidence hormone. Yes, just standing differently changes how you feel. And it's not about being loud or taking up space for show. It's about aligning your presence with your intention. Think about Maya again. A week after that interview, she practiced something new. Before walking into her next meeting, she found a quiet corner, stood tall, and imagined herself as a mentor she admired. Calm, capable, centered. Then, when she sat down, she kept her spine straight and her shoulders open. She made eye contact. She smiled. This time everything felt different. And not because the room changed. She changed. You can do the same. Whether you're walking into a classroom, speaking at a family gathering, or hopping onto a Zoom call, you don't have to fake a smile or puff up your chest like a cartoon character. Just imagine you're hosting someone you care about. How would you sit? How would you greet them? Start there. And if it feels unnatural at first, good. That's proof you're stretching. You're building a new muscle. One that tells your nervous system, we are not in danger. We are here to connect. So the next time you feel small, don't wait for confidence to show up. Shape it. Stand like someone who has something to say. Sit like someone who belongs in the room. Smile like someone who's already won the respect they seek. Because often, the body remembers the courage the mind forgot. Chapter 5. The practice that changes everything. In a quiet neighborhood outside Denver, a high school senior named Jordan was preparing to give his final presentation. It was only 5 minutes long. Nothing fancy, just a summary of his science project. But every time he practiced, his heart raced, his palms sweat, his voice shook. He figured the answer was to memorize every word, so he rehearsed in his room over and over, gripping his note cards like a lifeline. Still, the fear didn't go away. Until one afternoon, his older sister caught him pacing and asked, "Why are you trying to be perfect instead of trying to get better?" That single question flipped a switch. What if the goal wasn't perfection, but purposeful practice? Here's the truth. Real confidence doesn't come from knowing every word. It comes from knowing how to practice in a way that builds trust in yourself. And that means practicing not just what you say, but how you show up when things don't go as planned. Jordan's next practice was different. Instead of mumbling to his mirror, he stood in the living room and delivered his opening sentence out loud 3 times in a row, loud enough for the dog to flinch. Then he practiced just the transitions. Then just the closing. Each part got its own attention. No pressure to be flawless, just intentional layers, one skill at a time. This kind of practice is what performers call reps. Athletes use it, musicians use it, and speakers should too. It's not about repeating everything from start to finish 10 times. It's about isolating the hard parts, giving yourself a goal. Like, today I'll focus on pausing, or this time I'll smile before I speak. And treating each run-through like a lab experiment. The magic? You can do this anywhere. While folding laundry, walking the dog, cooking dinner. The more you integrate rehearsal into real life, the more natural it becomes. Your brain starts building automatic pathways, just like muscle memory. And here's a powerful trick. Video yourself. Yes, it might feel weird, but watching yourself, even for just 30 seconds, teaches you more than a mirror ever could. You'll catch nervous habits, you'll spot strengths you didn't know you had, and over time you'll see yourself becoming the speaker you once only imagined. Jordan never got rid of his nerves completely, but when presentation day came, He stood tall, looked up, and didn't reach for his notes until the third slide. He forgot one line, but smiled, paused, and kept going. When he sat down, his teacher nodded and said, "You look prepared." And that's the point. Practice doesn't erase fear. It builds a bridge over it. So next time you're preparing for anything, an interview, a pitch, a conversation that matters, ask yourself, am I chasing perfection or building trust? Because the second one will always take you further. Chapter 6. The silent sentence that steadies you. Elise stood backstage trying to calm her racing heart. Her hands trembled. Her mouth was dry. The notes she'd memorized felt suddenly unfamiliar, like someone else's story. She took deep breaths, but the panic didn't budge. Then she whispered something under her breath. Not to the crowd, not to the crew, but to herself. "I'm here to help, that's all." Those 5 words didn't erase her nerves, but they softened the edge. Her focus shifted from herself to her audience. She stepped on stage, and for the next 15 minutes, she wasn't perfect, but she was present. This is what performers call a silent sentence. It's not a mantra to magically make fear disappear. It's a private line you repeat to yourself, quietly, intentionally, that brings you back to your purpose. It grounds you in the moment. It reminds you why you're doing this in the first place. Most people spend so much energy trying to quiet the noise in their head. What if I mess up? What if they hate it? What if I freeze? These questions play on a loop, making you shrink, stall, or flee. But the brain listens to instructions, even bad ones. So if your internal script is filled with doubt, you'll feel unsafe, you'll act uncertain, you'll deliver fear instead of focus. The solution isn't to shut the voices out, it's to replace them. What Elise did, consciously repeating a silent sentence, wasn't magic. It was mental direction, a reminder. I'm not here to impress, I'm here to serve. That sentence changed how she carried herself. She smiled more. Her pauses felt like invitations, not mistakes. And even when she stumbled on a word, she just kept going, because she wasn't chasing perfection anymore. She was chasing connection. So, what should your silent sentence be? Start with your real reason. Maybe it's, I want to share something that helped me, or I want them to feel seen, or simply, I choose to be here. It doesn't have to be poetic. It just has to be true for you. And don't wait until showtime to try it. Include it in your practice. Say it before your first line. Repeat it during the pauses. Let it become part of your internal choreography. Over time, this one sentence will become your anchor, your backstage ritual, your mental reset. Because confidence isn't always loud. It doesn't always stand tall or wear a bold smile. Sometimes it lives in a whisper, one that says, "This matters to me and I'm ready." Back in Portland, Elise still remembers the moment she walked off stage. Not because the crowd clapped, but because she knew she'd showed up honestly. Her silent sentence had done its job, and that's the kind of presence people never forget. Have you ever noticed how your posture changes when you feel nervous? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious to know how your body reacts in those moments. Chapter 7. Discomfort is the doorway. A few years ago in Chicago, Marcus had to lead a quarterly team meeting. It wasn't his first time speaking in front of colleagues, but this one felt different. New executives were watching. Expectations were high. He had practiced every line, rehearsed every slide, and still, on the day of the meeting, his palms sweated and his stomach churned. He stood behind the podium and almost backed out. Almost. But instead, he remembered what his mentor once told him. Growth doesn't happen in the calm. It happens in the stretch. So Marcus spoke. His voice trembled a little at first, but then he caught his rhythm. A few teammates nodded. One even smiled. By the end, he wasn't just relieved. He was energized. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. That's what this chapter is about, embracing the awkward, the shaky, the sweaty. Because those moments aren't proof that you're failing, they're proof that you're trying. And that matters. The truth is, confidence doesn't come first. action does. Every confident speaker you've seen, every poised leader, every clear communicator, they all earned their presence by walking through discomfort repeatedly. We tend to think we should wait until we feel ready, until the nerves are gone, until we feel like ourselves. But the readiness never fully arrives. Instead, what builds confidence is the repetition of tiny, courageous acts. It's raising your hand even though your voice might crack, turning your camera on even when you feel awkward, sharing your screen even though your desktop's a little messy. These aren't signs of unpreparedness. They're signals that you're in the arena, doing the work. And each time you do, your brain rewires. It starts to learn, oh, this isn't danger, it's just growth. The fear doesn't disappear, but it stops steering the ship. Marcus didn't magically become a perfect speaker after that meeting. But the next time, the shaking lessened. His voice steadied faster. And what changed most wasn't how others saw him. It was how he saw himself. He had walked through the fire and realized, it warms you more than it burns. So here's the truth. Confidence isn't found on the sidelines. It's forged in motion, in the stumble, in the breath you take after a mistake and the choice to keep going. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Start with one brave thing, a small step outside your comfort zone, then another, and another. Eventually, the shaky becomes steady, the awkward becomes natural, and the version of you who once whispered, "I can't," begins to say, "I did." Because discomfort is not a stop sign, it's a signal. You're stepping into the kind of person you've always had the potential to become. You've just walked through 7 powerful ways to build really lasting confidence and self-esteem, step by step. And now, the choice is yours. Will you stay in the safe zone? Or will you take the next small, brave step forward? Because the truth is, confidence isn't born, it's built. And every time you show up, you grow. So if this journey helped you, subscribe now. Your next step might just start with our next video. Let's keep walking together. If this message sparked something in you, don't let it end here. Hit the like button to let us know this mattered. And subscribe to the channel so you're ready for the next step. Growth doesn't wait, and neither should you.